everybody to jump on the tracks now. Okay, here we are on the River Kwai. It's actually the River Kwai. If I find the sign for you, I'll show you the Thai characters about it. It's a little bit funny. River Kwai actually means the River Buffalo. And in fact, this is not the River Kwai. This was a tributary called Mekong, which means mother, I believe it should mean mother canal or tributary. And they renamed it to make it coincide with our tourist visions. This is a real-ish bridge, one of two, the wooden one and the metal one. Of course, the metal one was blown up, but not by commandos as in the river, but by bombers, RAF bombers, much later on. I'll show you some photos from that from my visit to the museum. And as you can see, this is a very, very, very popular tourist spot. What I like, what I think is pretty, is oh, maybe I will have to go up on the bridge to show you the temple on the other side. What's really beautiful is the river itself. I have a hotel right on it, very cheap. As is everything here in Kanchanaburi. Of course, it's very touristy, but you don't have to go far to escape it. There's a lovely coffee house called The Curve that people like to go to on the way up to one of the falls. But even everything on the other side of the river is undeveloped. So it's very chill. There was no noise at all from my hotel. And people can take boats on the river. What I like is this side over here. Let me not run into anybody. Sorry, thank you. There we go. Just trying to get across. It's crazy. I like this temple that they did over here. I won't show you on the other side. They tried to do a prisoner of war themed drinking beer garden. That did not go over. I think this temple is very beautiful. Just a reminder of peace. So there you go. There's the famous bridge, which is really, really just the smallest part of the story of the Death Railway. I think 8 people died making the bridge. 16,000 died making the of the POWs, making the especially the Hellfire Pass, making the whole railroad all the way to Burma. And that is dwarfed, of course, by about half of the 200,000 native workers, indentured, kidnapped, tricked, slaves, basically, however you want to call them. Can't remember the name that's used in the museum, but anyway, yeah, the vast number of people who died were native people. There were a little more protections on the POW, even though Japan had not ratified the Geneva Conventions. That's famously seen in the movie, which is ironic because the real engineer guy was not collaborative at all, and as a matter of fact, was very down to earth. He lodged with the common, with the non-coms, and didn't insist on his rights as an officer at all. In fact, he was offered to go home, and he weighed about 90 pounds. He stayed on until everybody was brought home, so he's a real hero. And he actually spared his, the real-life Sato, his warder who had him viciously beaten and had to stand for detention for 24 hours or something like that. But this was actually to save his life because he was caught helping people escape. So had that not been done, certainly the Japanese would have demanded his death. So he asked for Sato to be spared at the end, and they did. So what would go over these rails? Eventually ordnance and all of that sort of stuff, probably. But initially, not enough food for whatever reason. I guess labor was counted cheap when you could just, enslave any locals from Indochina, of course, after Vichy, and from Indonesia, Java, after the Dutch fell, and of course, the Thais were in a weird position, sort of half occupied, having to comply with certain things, and in some ways, trying to help the POWs. Very few Americans, by the way. I can show you the chart from the museum later, but these, you know what a train car is, about the length of a semi truck, right? People know that measure, I think. Imagine one about a third of that length. I would say definitely under half, maybe as little as a quarter of the length. Very small. You can see it in the museum as well. That is what the POWs were brought here in, 28 of them in a car, and 4 days from Singapore. The fall of Singapore, 160,000 Allied forces became POWs to the Japanese. Crazy. The other thing that would go across is these cars, these trucks that could also run on tracks. Really interesting, and they would make them look like bamboo huts, sapans. They call them floating sapans. Those would go over. Anyway, I could go on and on with details, but so many stories to be told. But I'll have to do that in the other video because this is crazy with all the tourists here. I don't even want to show you the bridge. Let's stick on the temple here. And yeah, that's the bridge on the River Kwai, today called the River Kwai, or the bridge on the Mae Klong. And it was, it was understandably confusing since this was rebuilt. Obviously, there were two bridges. There was the wooden one, and of course, the way it was blown up was different as well. So people aren't ever quite sure is this the real bridge or not. But this is where the bridge stood. Of course, not the real ones blown up. So there you go. There you have it. The wooden one, I think, no longer exists. And that train that went over that we began with, that was coming back to the tourist madness. That was the tourist train that just takes you, I don't even know if it goes up to, you can see whole markets pop up wherever there's tourists. I'm not even sure restaurants. I don't even think it goes to Hellfire Pass. But anyway, that's not the train I came up from Bangkok on. But they're the same tracks that, of course, would have gotten you this far back in the day. Well, I'm sure it's not the exact same tracks. They've probably been replaced. But there you go, folks. Hope you learned a little bit. I'll tell you more in another video. Nam Tok. Oh, this one does go to Nam Tok. Buy tickets on the train. Okay, so you go to Thonburi at 7:45. No, it goes from Thonburi at 7:45. So it goes back at 9:35 and 5:40. Darling Chan. And you can ride it as far as Wangpo, น้ำตก